Hey everyone, Chelsea here from So Simple Home. Today we are making a burrito pillowcase. And this is a project that is super easy, super useful, and actually one of my favorite things to make. So if you're not familiar with what a burrito pillowcase is, let me just show you a couple of examples. So this is a burrito pillowcase. It has the main fabric here. It has some type of top fabric, and then it has a little bit of a trim. The trim is optional, but the top piece here is what makes it kind of a fun pattern and what makes it the burrito style. So this is one example. Another example here is the one that you may have seen on our blog. This is my son's fun Thomas fabric here. This yellow trim needs to be ironed a little bit, and then the top binding at the top. Now, the nice part about this pillowcase is that all of the trim and raw edges and everything are inside of this top kind of binding piece. So all the raw edges are on the inside. And you can do the same thing for the side. You can do a stitch, a seam finish where everything's encased. For this particular project, I'm not doing that, but it's definitely something you can do. So this is kind of what the burrito pillowcase will look like. So how do we make it? First thing is you need your materials. So I'm going to use this kind of purple satin fabric. This is a 27 inches long by 41 inches wide piece of fabric. Then for my top kind of binding piece, I'm doing this dark purple. It is 9 inches long and then 41 inches wide. And then I have this fun little trim piece. It's just kind of a white with a little bit of a diagonal. And this one is 2 inches wide by 2 inches long by 41 inches wide. Okay, so to start, we're going to take our trim and we are going to iron it in half. Okay, so we're just going to take it and press it long ways like this in half, so that it has a fold. I'm going to make sure that I do it the right way. My print on here is real light, but I want to make sure it's on the right side. Okay, so I'm pressing the wrong sides together so the right sides are on the outside. Now if you're just using a solid color, it probably isn't going to make that much of a difference, but if you have a piece of trim that does have a design on it, you want to make sure you get the right sides, the right side out. Now if you don't want to use a piece of fabric, another option is you could use a piece of ribbon that is either 1 inch wide, or you could use a 2 inch wide one. You'd still have to iron it. But I would say go with a 1 inch wide piece of ribbon because it's already finished on the edges. Another option is you could use a lace that has a beautiful design on it, okay, instead of that trim piece. So it's kind of up to you. All right, so my trim is ironed. So the next step is we're gonna lay out and make our burrito. So why is this called a burrito? Because I'm going to put my material out like this. Okay, this is my top band, right? It's the band at the top. So I'm going to take my trim. This is the raw edge of my trim, so it's folded. I'm going to match it to the raw edge of my band for the top. And then I'm going to take my main piece and I'm going to match it to that top raw edge. Okay, and this is right sides together. So what does that mean? This is the right side of the purple fabric, the right side of the trim, the right side of my main fabric all together like this. Okay, and now comes the burrito part. I'm going to take the rest of my main fabric, my purple satin here, and I'm going to roll it up And these are the toppings for my bean burrito. This is what goes inside my bean burrito. Okay, this is the beans and the meat and the cheese and the rice. This is my tortilla. So now my tortilla is going to come over the top and it's going to match this raw edge. And now I can get my pins or my clips, whatever you're using, and I can pin everything together. Now as you pin, you want to make sure not to get your toppings in there, but you want to make sure you get all those layers lined up good. Because if they're not lined up and you don't stitch the layers together correctly, then you'll have like a hole. You'll have a hole in your burrito. Nobody wants a hole in their burrito. Right? My toppings are super slick because I'm using that satin. So I've got to make sure everybody lines up good before I put my pin in. And I don't want to sew on those toppings, right? So they need to be out of the way or else it can mess it all up. Get all those sections together and pin them across. Now the reason I love this is because it is quick, but also it's not showing any of those seams. So they'll all be nice and hidden. So we're going to take it, the pins are on this side, my toppings are in the middle. Now we're going to sew it at 1/4 inch along the edge of along those raw edges. We're just sewing all the way down to the opposite side. We want to make sure that those toppings stay out of our way, so you can use your fingers just to kind of feel where they are. Make sure they're all inside. And then just making sure all your materials are lined up along the edge here. Making sure that everything is together so you get all those layers. And then once you get close to the end, again, just adjust, make sure all those layers are together. And then back stitch at the end. So it kind of looks like this. Okay? And now is the fun part. And it's kind of strange. You're going to take your hand and put it inside and you're going to pull your toppings out. And it seems like it won't work, but it will. Just kind of is fun when you flip it around. You just start pulling all those toppings out. There you go. Look at that. Doesn't that look nice? Now, even if it doesn't match on this side, that's okay. Sometimes it gets a little bit off, but you can press everything and then you can trim it if you need to. So I'm going to go ahead and press all this and then we'll come back and finish the stitching. Alright, so I've pressed this. Everything looks nice and flat. If you wanted to, you could top stitch this. We're not going to, but it's just another stitch that you could put even a decorative stitch. So now we're going to take it and we're going to fold it. So we're folding the long sides together here, and then we have our short bottom over here. Okay, so it's going to be a big rectangle. Okay, and we're matching the sides up here, right, that we've just sewn, and it's right sides together. Okay, and now we're going to stitch. Okay, so let's pull our machine up here and let's start stitching. We're going to be making sure we're matching this raw edges here, and we're going to do a 1/2 inch seam allowance around. give it just a little bit more of a seam allowance. That way we can put a seam finish on it. The bottom, we'll put our needle down, turn our fabric, and keep sewing across to the other side. Perfect. Hey, now for a seam finish, there's lots of things that you can do. You can put a zigzag stitch along the edge. You can do, if you wanted to do a French seam or something. But we are just going to use our pinking shears, and we're going to just trim along the edge here with our pinking shears and finish the edge of this pillowcase. It's not hard. I really like using pinking shears as my seam allowance. It just makes it a little bit faster, and it's a really, really simple method. Now when you get towards the top, it might be a little bit harder just because you have several layers of fabric that you're going to have to trim through, which can be really, really annoying. But for the most part, you should be able to get through it. And because this is a satin, sometimes seam finishes can be a little tricky because it's just not as it's just a little bit more difficult because you can skip seams or stitches and stuff. All right, got our pinking seam finish. So we used our pinking shears to pink the edges. Now we're just going to turn it right side out. Okay, and there's our pillowcase. Move our sewing machine out of the way. How pretty is that? Now you'll want to press this edge, because you can see right now it's kind of, we call those kissy lips, right? So you want this nice and flat. So you'll want to press those edges so that the pillowcase itself looks really nice and flat. But look how pretty that is. Just having several different colors, just some of the contrast, and it'll slip right on, and you don't have any of the seams here. So that is how you make a burrito pillowcase. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments, and make sure you share your pictures of your burrito style pillowcases. You can join our Facebook group at So Simple Home, or you can always email me at chelsea@sosimplehome.com. And again, if you have questions, leave them in the comments and let me know what you think. We'll talk to you next time.